All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. I was going to come tonight and I was going to just start reading the chapters out of this book. This book is called Slavery by Another Name: The Reenslavement of Black Americans from the Civil War to World War II by Douglas A. Blackman. I, friends, I'm trying to tell you, my heart hurts. I'm going to play momentarily a little bit of this review or this documentary of this book. I watched 34 minutes of it and I had to cut it off. I always said that I did not like watching slave movies and stuff like that. And especially ones that wasn't true or just theater. But I love watching truth as what I'm into today is truth. And I have to give you a scripture verse. And I'm trying to make these videos shorter so I don't have to, because I know I'm trying to build my page and it's going slow. I only have fewer than about maybe 56 subscribers. That's it. But I want to build the subscribers to people who want to really know the truth and follow the truth. I don't want to just put anything up, but I believe that the Most High has called me to wake up our people and wake up those Gentiles who eventually will cleave unto us. If you could do me a favor, share this video wherever platform you're looking on, and we have expanded our reach. So we're going to be live on at least 8 different platforms. I think we're three right now. So if you're on YouTube, please do me a favor and subscribe to the channel. So like I said, I don't want to make this very, very long, but I want to read a verse, and we're going to go to this verse in Joel chapter 3. I'm going to read this more than one verse. I'm going to read Joel chapter 3 and verse number 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, and I will gather all nations and bring them down in the valley of Jehoshaphat, and and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land, and they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink. Yea, this is what I want you to see right here. Yea, what have you to do with me, O Tyre and Sidon, and all the coast of Palestine? Will you render me a recompense? In other words, what are you going to pay me for what you did to my people? Will you render me a recompense? And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, I will return your recompense upon your head. Why? Because, verse number 5, because you've taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have you sold unto the Grecians, that you might remove them far from their border. And I like this verse right here, which encourages me. It says in verse number 7, Joel chapter 3 and verse number 7, behold, I will raise them out of the place where you have sold them, and will return recompense upon your head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah. And people ask me all the time, say, Pastor, Elder, why is it so important to know who you are and who we are? Because something is coming in Joel chapter 3, verse 8, which by many scriptures, it said, I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah. So it's important to know who you are. Why? Because you're going to be you're going to be the one, the Most High is going to sell their sons and their daughters into the hands of Judah. And they look at this. They did not say into the hands of Issachar, into the hands of Levi, into the hands of Naphtali. They did not say that. Joseph, to Dan. He said, I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hands of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabeans, who are people far off. And the Lord hath spoken it. Now I want to stop right there. And I just want to go and just read just a little bit. If you can, go to um, my YouTube page and subscribe to the channel. I'm guarantee you will be blessed. I'm just going to read the introduction of this book. I recommend you go to Amazon, whatever site you get, where you get your information, your books, and so forth. Slavery by Another Name. A lot of people don't realize that incarceration is another name for slavery. We say that the Emancipation Proclamation was in 1865 or somewhere around there, but you know what? Slavery did not end to 1942. This is what it means to study to show yourself approved. A workman need not be ashamed, but rightly divide the word of truth. And scripture says as well, it says line upon line, precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line. It says here a little, there a little. Christians, or so-called Christian people, the Christian church, they actually believe that just staying in the 66 books is enough. But getting information is very important. And I'm not going to be very, very long. And hope I can get through the whole introduction. But I'm going to read you just probably one story out of the introduction. And then I'm going to do a part 2 of this. And I want you to tune into it. It says on March 30th, 1908, Green Cottenham was arrested by the sheriff of Shelby County, Alabama, and charged with vagrancy. Cottenham had committed no crime. Vagrancy, the offense of a person not being able to prove at a given moment that he or she is employed, was a new and flimsy concoction dredged up from legal obscurity at the end of the 19th century by the state legislatures of Alabama and other southern states. It was enforced by local sheriffs and constables, adjudicated rather by mayors and notary publics, recorded haphazardly or not at all in court records, and most tellingly, in a time of massive unemployment among all Southern men, was reserved almost exclusively for black men. Cottenham's offense was blackness. And when we read this, we understand that this happened in the late 1800s. But if you began to just listen to the book, you'll understand that this is seemingly the same as today to a point, mostly a good point. After 3 days behind bars, listen to this. After 3 days behind bars, 22-year-old Cottenham was found guilty in a swift appearance before the county judge and immediately sentenced to a 30-day term of hard labor. Unable to pay the array of fees assessed on every prisoner, fees to the sheriff, the deputy, the court, the clerk of courts, the witnesses, Cottenham's sentence was extended to nearly a year of hard labor for not having a job. The next day, Cottenham, the youngest of 9 children born to former slaves in an adjoining county, was sold under a standing agreement between the county and a vast subsidiary of the industrial titan of the North, U.S. Steel Company. And we'll come back to that in a second. The sheriff turned the young man over to the company for the duration of his sentence. In return, the subsidiary Tennessee Coal, Iron, and Railroad Company. I'm going to write that down, and I want you to write that down because I'm going to go back and I'm going to show something real fast. And U.S. Steel and also Tennessee Tennessee Coal, Iron, and Railroad Company. I'm going to show you something in a second. And in these companies that they called them this. They called him this back in the time. I want you to do this, and I want you to write this down, and I want you to be able um, um, to research this yourself. Don't take my word for it. And it's and even though some people they say, well, I'm not anybody could have wrote that book. Well, can I tell you what? What you can do then? You got to Google Google vagrancy, VARGRANCY, vagrancy. Google it. Also, it was something called um, um, prisoner swapping. Now, watch this, or with long rent a prisoner. That's what it was called. But it was something another name for it. I'm gonna give it to you in a second. Um, um, if you would look up convict leasing, that's what I want to see. Convict leasing. Look up Google convict leasing. That's real. I'm gonna read just a little bit more of it before we end this video. Is now we see that Cottenham was arrested for not having a job, and he was sentenced to now a year in prison for hard labor for 1 year. And in return, the subsidiary Tennessee Coal, Iron, the first U.S. Steel had him, and they rented him to Tennessee Coal, Iron, Railroad Company, and it gave the county $12 a month to pay off Cottenham's fine and fees. What the company's manager did with Cottenham and thousands of other black men they purchased from the sheriffs across Alabama was entirely up to them. A few hours later, the company plunged Cottenham into the darkness of a mine called Slope Number 12, one shaft in a vast edge of Birmingham known as the Pratt Mines. And there he was chained inside a long wooden barrack at night and required to spend nearly every waking hour digging and loading coal. His required daily task was to remove 8 tons of coal from the mine. Cottenham was subject to the whip for failure to dig the required amount, at risk of physical torture for disobedience, and vulnerable to the sexual predations uh, um, of other miners, many of whom already had passed decades in their own confinement. The lightless catacombs of Black Rock, packed with hundreds of desperate men, slick with sweat and coated in pulverized coal, most have exceeded any vision of hell of a boy born in countryside of Alabama. Even a child of slaves could have even imagined. Now I'm going to stop right there. Yes, I'm gonna stop right. I'm gonna read one more paragraph. Well, he's got 2 or 3 more paragraphs, but I want you to get this book yourself first of all, and I want to prove something real fast. And I'm at 16 minutes, and I don't want to go over 20 minutes, or at least 25 minutes. I don't want to go too far. You got to read this book, Slavery by Another Name. And Douglas A. Blackman put up a masterpiece of a book, and I'm going to continue to read it, but I just don't want to do it all at once. Now, what I want to prove to you real fast, I'm going to share my screen. You might not want to hang up with, and you might want to watch this. Now, watch this. Let me share my screen really quickly, and then what I'm going to do is show you something. Now, we just found out that Douglas Blackman did not have a job. Douglas Blackman, excuse me, I said Blackman. I said that wrong. Douglas A. Blackman is the writer of the book. Cottenham was sentenced to 1 year of hard labor. And we say that the slaves were freed in 1860s, but it was not. This continued to 1942 and was a continuation of black slavery. Now watch this. Now mention U.S. Steel. The court uh, um, the court sentenced Cottenham to work in mines and so forth. He first went to U.S. Steel Company. Let's look up U.S. Steel Company. U.S. Steel Company. Let's get a little bit. I don't like using Wikipedia, but we'll go in here and get a little information. Um, um, we'll try our best to maneuver through the crappy stuff that they tried to tell us in Wikipedia, so we can try to read through some of this. U.S. Steel Company, more commonly known as U.S. Steel Corporation, more commonly known as U.S. Steel, is American integrated steel producer headquarters in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, with production operations primarily in the United States of America and in Central Europe. Now, look, I'm gonna skip down a little bit, and it was the eighth largest steel producer in the world in 2008. Now, I want you to look at this. I want you to look at this. The U.S. Steel Company, the formation, J.P. Morgan. Now, when I mention these names, you're going to put 2 and 2 together. Now, Cottenham. Remember, Cottenham was arrested. Let me go back to the book. Cottenham was arrested. Let me get the correct date. And that's what Cottenham looked like. Right there, the young man right there. He was arrested. This is why I say if you want to hide something from black folk, put it in a book. They've been saying this for a long time. This was March 30th, 1908. And this right here is proven in the Library of Congress. Now look, 1908, Green Cottenham was arrested by the sheriff of Shelby County, Alabama, and charged with vagrancy. And vagrancy was offense of a person not being able to prove in any given time that he or she is employed. He did not commit a crime, a real crime. He committed a crime, what they called vagrancy, and they had other crimes as well, whereby you could have gone to these camps or these businesses to work. That's just like somebody, if you commit a crime and they send you to Chrysler Corporation to go work and pay $12 a month to pay off your debt. $12 a month they paid the county, but they got basically free labor, just like it was worse than slavery actually. If you spitting on the ground was a crime, you had to go, you can get arrested and go to these hard labor camps. Playing a dice game, you can get arrested. It was against the law for loitering, drinking, not getting drunk, but drinking. If a business owner, if a black business owner had his own farm and he sold any products after dark, he could be arrested and sent to those camps. Speaking loudly in the presence of a white woman, you could be arrested and sent to the camps. If you walked next to a railroad track, you could be arrested. It was a crime. And loitering, not having a job, as we call vagrancy, theft of a pig, 5 years in prison. This the early 1900s now. Rent a prisoner by month with long sentences and hard labor. Convict leasing, look it up, as little as $9 a month. 1990, 19,000 black people, that's 90% of black people in 1890 was sent to these camps. Prison today is slavery. And if you will look it up, and if you don't want to believe me, watch this. I'm going to look this up. I'm going to show you this real fast. I'm in Ohio, and I'm going to show you something. An Ohio Constitution. An Ohio Constitution and slavery. I think it's Article 6. Article 6, yes, Article 1, Section 6. Now, this is the Article 1. To this day, there is Article 1, Section 6 in Ohio laws and administrative rules to this day on the Ohio Constitution, slavery and involuntary servitude. Look what it says right here, effective 1851. There shall be no slavery in this state, nor involuntary servitude, unless for the punishment of crime. Did you see that? Do you understand? There shall be no slavery in this state, nor involuntary servitude, unless for the punishment of crime. No slavery. If you commit a crime, you are a slave. If you are incarcerated in the United States, and as a matter of fact, there are many other states that are the same, you are a slave according to the Ohio Constitution, effective 1851. Now, let me tell you something, friends. Now, when we looked up the U.S. Steel Company, the U.S. Steel Company, and look at these names. Now, let me see where I'm at because I don't want to go over 25. I got a minute and a half, 2 minutes to get this done. J.P. Morgan. These are the formations that's connected to the U.S. Steel Company. Andrew Carnegie. And some of these names on here. What you should do is screenshot this and look up U.S. Steel Company and find out who the founders were. 1901. Remember, I said he was arrested and sent to those camps in 1908, I think it was. And look at this right here. 120. The merger with when you look up these companies and these names, Charles Schwab. Come on, somebody. Do you see what I'm seeing here? And you think that these people do not have descendants that are still making money, and that's why I disagree with Senator McConnell when he says that what happened 150 years ago have nothing to do with us today. Now, like I said, Cunningham. Once again, I'm reading the book called Slavery by Another Name. And I'm keep telling people that slavery is or incarceration is slavery. And so when you look at when these judges sentenced these so-called criminals, and some got felonies for little crimes or so-called made-up crimes, was sent to these companies. And when you look up Tennessee Coal, Iron and Railroad Company, and when you do your due diligence to these companies, you'll see that they have wings or breakoffs, if you want to call it that, for other companies today that's still in existence today that have received monies from slavery even after the Emancipation Proclamation. Now I know this make people feel uncomfortable, and I know this make folks feel like we're trying to move on. We can't worry about the past. Well, I tell you what, when I hear people say that, the past is still today. And you wonder why people, I see why people, I don't think I know not think, but I know we're not going to get reparations. But I tell you what, um, we're not going to get reparations. God said, you're going to pay me for what you did to my people. So, but I understand why we have entities that's trying their best to get reparations because it's old. I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to come back again. All praise to the Most High. Shalom. Shalom.